of the country. Kidnappings are widespread. Sexual violence is used as a weapon. Thousands upon thousands have been killed. Natural disasters continue to deepen an already catastrophic humanitarian crisis. Trump's own State Department gives Haiti its highest travel warning, level 4. In other words, do not travel to Haiti. Think about that. We tell American citizens it is far too dangerous for you to go to Haiti. Then we tell Haitian families, we're sending you there. How can both be possibly true? How could a nation of decency take people with temporary protective status and send them to the very country our nation warns us not to go to because of the violence and destitution? Have we no decency in our policies? If a country is far to visit for an American to step foot into, how can it be safe enough for families that are now being forced to go back there? Temporary protected status exists for precisely this kind of moment. Congress created it. A Republican president signed it into law. It recognizes a simple yet profound moral truth. When extraordinary danger exists, Americans should not force human beings into it. The values of our country, the values of our collective faiths, the values of the best of humanity are being violated here. We are a moral nation, but forcing people here on temporary protective status back into countries where there's such violence and destitution violates our morals, our values. It cheapens us all. It is wrong. Yet this administration has canceled temporary protective status for more than 330,000 Haitians. Many have lived here for years and years. Many of them already have had American children in our country. Many of them have married Americans themselves. They've worked here. They've paid billions in taxes here. They built businesses here, served communities in some of the most humble jobs in our hospitals as assistants, helping the ill and the elderly. There are thousands that I've come to know are in New Jersey, many who I know personally. They are woven into the fabric of our communities, but now, from a callous president, they face deportation into one of the most dangerous places on earth. I ask my colleagues, can we look these families in the eye and honestly say, this reflects the best of who we are? This reflects the values of our faiths? Most of us here in this body are Christians. Would Jesus send someone from our nation into danger, rip them away from their communities? Is that what our faiths dictate? Is that what our ideals dictate? Even some Republicans have been raising alarms. Members of the House voted to extend protections. The Republican governor of Ohio called these deportations, quote, a mistake. Because this is not simply an immigration debate, it is a moral test. America has always been strongest when our laws reflected both security and humanity. These are not conflicting ideals. In fact, they're interwoven. When we violate our humanity, we violate our security. We can secure our borders, and we should. We can enforce our laws, and we must. But we can also distinguish between those who threaten America and those who have spent years here in our country strengthening it. This is not weakness. The Haitians in our community, keeping them here amidst the crisis in Haiti, it's not weakness, it's wisdom. It is justice. It is morally right. It's long past time that we in Congress modernize an immigration system that virtually everyone agrees is broken. I can't tell you the conversations I've had with Republican colleagues of mine. The late Lindsey Graham is a great example about how our immigration laws are so broken, it makes it hard for anyone who wants to follow the rules to be able to in any timely way become a citizen of our country. The Cato administration calls it more likely to win the lottery than it is to come in our country. This is one of the reasons why our population is declining. We need laws that reflect our values, laws that are orderly, laws that keep us safe and secure, laws that protect the border, laws that affirm our values. We can have all of that. Do not listen to the false choice of a president who wants to send people back to a human version of hell, rip people from our communities, all in the name of safety and security. That is a lie. We must create laws that offer a realistic pathway for people who have lived, worked, contributed, paid taxes, invested their lives in this country for decades, especially those with American families and American children. The question before us is so much larger than immigration. It's about who we are becoming as a society when we turn our back about our neighbors being thrown in private detention facilities that are profiting off of their pain, who we are as a nation when we want to rip people away from their families and their children and send them to modern day's hell, who we are as a nation when we take those people that are good enough to work in our hospitals, to take care of our elderly, but then we want to turn our back on them and let them be dragged out of our country even though they've been here for years, followed our laws, and are working towards a pathway of citizenship. Who are we if we continue down this road that creates false fears, that spreads lies about immigrants, that turns its very back on the fundamental precept to love your neighbor? Well, I still believe in America. I still believe we are strong enough to create safety and security and to embrace those who love our nation and serve her faithfully even though they're not citizens. I still believe in America that is big enough and bold enough to protect its borders and love the stranger. I still believe in a nation that's immigration laws can affirm our dignity and decency and not be an assault on it. I still believe in a nation that honors its faith traditions and knows that we have to love our neighbor and welcome the stranger, especially when they're fleeing persecution and hate and violence. I believe in the highest ideals of our nation. That's why we have laws like temporary protected status in the first place. It reflected the best of us. But I fear this administration is showing the worst of who we are. I honor Republican think tanks, the Republican governors who all have the courage to stand up and say this is wrong. We need that kind of chorus of conviction here in the United States Senate. I ask my colleagues to not let this president so violate our collective values. This is not a right or left issue. It is a right or wrong issue. I pray for our nation. I pray that we live our ideals and don't just talk about them. I pray that we teach our children who we are, not by what we say, but by what we do. I pray that in this crisis, we do not allow a president to undermine decency and grace and send innocent people back to environments where they will face nightmares and violence. We could be the America we say we are, but this chamber must stand up. Mr. President, thank you. I yield the floor.